Hi everyone, you're watching the Virtual Amicus and I'm Jay Lodha. Well, today's topic for discussion is on information technology, intermediary guidelines and digital media ethics of code rules of 2021. Now, these rules certainly cast various obligations on internet intermediaries and in particular on social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, etc. But it is also reported that certain social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, they were yet to comply with the obligations under the rules of 2021. Now, this has given obviously an apprehension amongst all the users of these websites that it could be either stopped or it could be banned for such non-compliance. Now, one thing that is important to note here is that these intermediaries themselves have to observe certain due diligence that is required to be followed, such as prominently publishing on its website or applications of both the rules and regulations, the privacy policy, the user agreement for access or usage of its computer resource by any other person, and they also have to inform the users about the prohibited content. So, so this is something that can be controversial at times. So, to throw more light on this issue, to elaborate further, we are joined by a promising young lawyer, Mr. Avin Changani. So, he joins us from Jodhpur. Just to give you a brief introduction about our speaker or amicus for today's session, he's a lawyer practicing at Rajasthan High Court, Jodhpur, the principal seat. He has been practicing since August 2014. He joined the offices of Mr. M.L. Changani and Mr. Ashok Changani, and he has appeared in cases pertaining to different branches of law. His areas of interest are constitutional law and interpretation of statutes. So thank you so much, Mr. Changani, for taking out time from your busy schedule on a working day, on a Wednesday afternoon. And so the stage is set, the floor is all yours. You may proceed.
Thank you, Jay, for inviting me. It's a wonderful platform that you have come up with, and I'm delighted to be a part of it. I'll just start the slide. Uh, so the topic for today is Information Technology Rules 2021, Backdrop and Ramifications. Before I delve into the topic, it would be apposite to mention right at the outset that the timing of this particular session has worked out pretty well because certain factual developments which took place yesterday and today really serve the purpose of lending some context to this particular topic and to tonight's session. So yesterday evening and today morning news came in that in the state of Uttar Pradesh, an FIR has been registered wherein possibly for the very first time in India's history, prominent employees, that is some higher ups of a social media company, that is Twitter, have been named in the FIR, and criminal liability is sought to be fastened even on them on the reasoning by opining that they have colluded with certain antisocial elements who tried to foster communal tensions. Now, I do not need to advert to the facts of that particular case, but I just need to point out the fact that this is happening because Twitter decided not to comply with the IT rules of 2021. So, when we talk about the ramifications of the IT rules of 2021, this is perhaps the biggest ramification of these rules, that a social media company which has decided not to comply with the rules of 2021 is now being booked under these rules. For those of us who are not very familiar with the platform that Twitter is, I'll just point out one crucial aspect. So late last year, at some point in November or December of 2020, Twitter started this practice wherein it started flagging some tweets. So a tweet is basically a post that you put out on Twitter. So on some posts, Twitter started to put out this label, this tag of manipulated media. So Twitter decided, or it thought that it would decide that certain tweets would be flagged as manipulated media and certain tweets would not be designated as manipulated media. So the FIR that has been registered in Uttar Pradesh yesterday, that basically records the fact that by failing to record or by failing to put out this label or this tag of manipulated media, Twitter basically colluded with the antisocial elements which allegedly committed the crime of putting up a fabricated video. So that really lends some context to the session that we are having today. Uh, so first we'll begin with the short title of these rules of 2021. For the sake of convenience, I'll refer to them as the rules of 2021. So these are the Information Technology Intermediary Guidelines and Digital Media Ethics Code rules of 2021. Uh, they have been framed in exercise of powers under Section 87, subsection 2 of the IT Act of 2000. It's a fairly lengthy provision which basically empowers the central government to frame necessary rules so that intermediaries could be issued the relevant directions in order to ensure that they have to comply with the extant laws of India, and that no social media intermediary can do anything which deliberately or otherwise falls foul of Indian law. The rules of 2021 are in supersession of the earlier Information Technology Intermediary Guidelines rules of 2011. Now, uh, if we have a cursory glance at the short title of both the rules of 2011 and 2021, we would find out that the earlier rules, the rules which earlier held the field, that is the rules of 2011, had no provision regarding digital media ethics code. I'll again just put out the short title of the rules. As you can see here, the rules of 2011 were named Information Technology Intermediary Guidelines Rules of 2011. In other words, the rules of 2011 dealt with only with intermediaries, and the guidelines that the government had put out in regard to intermediaries. In contradistinction to this, if I can again just put out the short title of the current rules, the rules which currently govern the field, these are the Information Technology Intermediary Guidelines and Digital Media Ethics Code Rules of 2021. Now, why this difference is there? The biggest factual reason is that back in 2011, while social media had gained significant traction in India, it had always been a big market for them. But back in 2011, we did not really have any OTT platforms like Netflix or Amazon Prime, nor did we have any prominent web portals like The Wire, Swarajya, and other portals. These really gained traction only after 2011. So back in 2011, when the government was framing these rules, there really was no occasion for it perhaps to incorporate or to bring within the ambit of these rules OTT platforms and web portals. But that has been done now. Now, as far as the rules of 2021 are concerned, they're really divided into two parts, broadly speaking, two main parts. Part 2 of the Information Technology Intermediary Guidelines and Digital Media Ethics Code Rules of 2021 shall be administered by the Ministry of Electronics and IT, whereas Part 3 regarding Code of Ethics for Digital Media shall be administered by Information and Broadcasting Ministry. Now, what this basically means is that Part 2, which deals with intermediaries. Now, intermediaries, broadly speaking, are your prominent social media platforms, not just prominent social media platforms, but in particular, the prominent social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp, Instagram, and all these platforms. So, as far as these intermediaries are concerned and their compliance with the rules of 2021 is concerned, that is something that will be looked into, that will be ensured by the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, whereas the part 3, which deals with OTT platforms and web portals, that shall be dealt with, and compliance thereof, that is part 3, shall be ensured by the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. The rule also draws a very important classification between social media intermediaries. And this is something that I'll advert to at a later point in time. These rules have a provision for social media intermediaries and significant social media intermediaries. Now, if you have to understand the rules of 2021, we really have to understand the backdrop in which these rules were introduced. Like any prominent piece of delegated legislation, no rules or no regulations are introduced out of thin air. There's a certain factual backdrop which really paves the way for their introduction. So in this case, there is a very important report of an ad hoc committee of the Honorable Rajya Sabha, which recommended changes to India's IT rules. So I'll be throwing light on some of the relevant portions of that report. And then there are also some orders of the Honorable Supreme Court, wherein the Honorable Supreme Court really directed, for all practical purposes, directed the government to incorporate necessary changes in IT rules but I'll not be adverting to the orders of the Honorable Supreme Court. Perhaps that would become the subject matter for another session at a later point in time. Uh, so as you can see, this report of the ad hoc committee of the Rajya Sabha was to study the alarming issue of pornography on social media and its effect on children and society as a whole. Uh, to quote some relevant portions of this, in para 1.7, the committee of the Honorable Rajya Sabha, it stated that IT Act of 2000 needs to be amended to plug gaps relating to CSAM. What is CSAM? That is basically child sexual abuse material. The committee recommends two specific changes, and at this juncture, I would just like to point out that this report is not very old. This was submitted just last year. The committee recommends two specific changes in the Information Technology Act 2000 to deal with the proliferation of child sexual abuse material. A new section 67B should be added to deal with punitive measures for those who provide pornography access to children and also those who access, produce, or transmit CSAM. Section 69A should provide for powers to the union government through its designated authority to block and or prohibit all websites intermediaries that carry CSAM. Section 69 of the IT Act basically provides for powers to the union government to issue necessary directions to the intermediaries in order to intercept any unlawful content and issue some other directions. In para 1.8, the committee proceeded to state that require reporting by intermediaries to Indian and not just to foreign authorities. Now, this is one of the foundational premises of the IT rules of 2021, which, as I mentioned earlier, have been introduced in terms of or in furtherance of this particular report that has been submitted by the committee of the Rajya Sabha. One of the foundational premises of these rules of 2021 is that if there is a foreign company, and as we know that most prominent social media companies, be it Twitter, Facebook, and even other platforms, they are foreign companies, primarily incorporated in the US. So if they want to operate in India, and naturally India is a very lucrative market for them, so the government has taken a stand that they must necessarily comply with the extant laws of India. And if they choose not to do so, then perhaps they should not be provided even access to this lucrative market for them. The committee recommends the addition of another requirement in the Information Technology Act Intermediaries Guidelines Rules of 2011, namely, the intermediary shall report child sexual abuse material, that is CSAM, to and also share information relating to missing children with Indian law enforcement authorities, both at the central and state levels. The committee stresses that there should be a non-violable time frame specified for reporting and taking down CSAM. Penalties should be specified for the violations of this time frame. So the very fact that the committee of the Rajya Sabha had to make this recommendation that social media, it should be incumbent on social media companies to report to law enforcement agencies both at the center and the state level really sort of illustrates the problem that was there before the rules of 2021. That in some cases, these social media companies were not even doing something as basic as this, something which perhaps most of us would have taken for granted. In para 1.10, the committee proceeded to state require internet service providers, that is ISPs, to proactively monitor and take down CSAM. The committee recommends modifying the rules of 2011 to include, after Section 12, the following provision. Intermediaries shall be responsible for all measures to proactively identify and remove CSAM, as well as report it to the Indian authorities under the National Cybercrime Portal. Gateway ISPs must bear a significant liability to detect and block CSAM websites. This again is in pursuance of the earlier recommendation. Then the committee stated the committee recommends modifying the rules of 2011 to include this portion has already been covered. Basically, gateway ISPs must bear a significant liability. Then, in point B, it was stated intermediaries shall also be responsible to report to the designated authority IP addresses or identities of all those searching or accessing child porn or CSAM keywords. All search engines must ensure that CSAM websites are blocked during the search and should be obligated to report any website along with gateway ISPs to the appropriate authority. Now, this is very important, particularly in light of the public discourse that has emanated, in light of the public discourse that has taken place after the rules of 2021. Para 2.2 permit breaking of end-to-end encryption to trace distributors of child pornography. The committee recommends modifying the IT rules of 2011 to include the ability to trace the originator or sender of the message shared on end-to-end encryption platforms in cases where CSAM that has been shared has come to the attention of law enforcement agencies. Now, this particular recommendation of the committee has been accepted by the government, and as we'll see in a moment, there's a specific rule in this regard which has been incorporated in the rules of 2021. It is common knowledge that end-to-end encryption is one of the key features that is offered by WhatsApp. In fact, WhatsApp has decided to impugn the legality of the rules of 2021 before the Honorable Delhi High Court, primarily on this ground only, that end-to-end encryption is one of the sacrosanct features offered by WhatsApp. And if these rules provide for cases where the government can even issue directions to platforms such as WhatsApp, which have this particular feature, then the sanctity of their platform or the peculiarity of their platform would stand violated. Para 2.9 requires social media platforms to issue warning against underage use at the point of sign up. The committee recommends that the IT rules of 2011 include the following rule. Social media sites and apps are required to issue age restriction warnings at the point of account creation or sign up that advises parents not to assist minors in the creation of underage accounts. This is fairly self explanatory, so I don't need to delve deeper into this. Now, this is very important. Para 2.10 requires social media platforms to adhere to uniform benchmark practices in regulating and taking down content. The committee recommends that social media platforms follow uniform benchmark practices. A. Targeting bulk or automated behavior, ban user accounts engaging in automated behavior by identifying phone numbers known to be involved in spam messaging, as well as by tracking users who send high volumes of messages soon after registering. As we all know, automated behavior of this nature really enables certain crimes to take place. So it is imperative that there should be a rule incorporated to this effect. B. Employ photo DNA to target profile pictures of groups with CSAM content or prevent content from being uploaded at source. C. Take down posts depicting child exploitation and ban user accounts reported or flagged instead of simply blocking such content from users who report such content. D. Target encrypted content to identify CSAM content and explicitly state measures being taken with regards to the Indian context to curb the formation of groups, pages, and other fora for the exchange of such material. This again is one of the very important recommendations. There is an order passed by the Honorable Delhi High Court, which was pronounced recently, I believe in April 2021, but it was a culmination of a series of orders that the Honorable Delhi High Court started passing at some point in July or August of 2020. If possible, we even put up a link to that judgment in the description of this video. That judgment basically highlighted the peculiar nature of the internet, wherein also there was sexually explicit content material that was uploaded on different forums. And whenever the Honorable High Court passed an order that it should be taken down from one particular platform, the miscreants, the antisocial elements, they sought to bypass the order and the intent behind the order by putting up that content on other forums. So this again deals with situations like that. E. Provide information on community guidelines and illegal content to users in multiple languages. Encourage awareness and use of reporting mechanisms by providing a warning when an unknown number messages a user. Providing warning message on search engines as well as parental filters across platforms. Programs and campaigns for increasing awareness on online safety of children. Most of these are fairly non-controversial. Mandatory reporting of CSAM content to Indian authorities. This, as I said, is one of the foundational premises of the rules of 2021, that if there's a foreign company which is operating in India, it ought to be a non sequitur. It goes without saying that they must necessarily comply with the legal architecture of our country and all the rules and regulations that have been framed thereunder. Incorporation of trusted flagger programs across social media platforms with elements such as bulk flagging tool, prioritized flag reviews for increased actionability, etc. Creating and sharing online safety booklets for users where the content specifically focuses on best practices to use to stay safe on the internet, like creating strong passwords, two-step verification, along with understanding privacy setting and reporting content and users. Hosting online safety workshops with planned outreach and viewership numbers by partnering with organizations which use the platforms. Build industry wide coalitions such as Google's Technology Coalition and providing mentorship to smaller companies working to increase their ability to detect CSAM. Now, again, if you look at the last example, a particular reference has been given to a technology coalition that was the brainchild of Google. The idea behind that, if you read the text of the report that has been submitted by the Rajya Sabha committee, is that these intermediaries need to play a proactive role. They cannot just take a backseat and say that, okay, when we receive an order from an honorable court or when some law enforcement agency approaches us by issuing a lawful order, it is only then that we get active and then we'll try and take down the content. Basically, the idea is what the Rajya Sabha itself implored the social media intermediaries to do. And now, what these rules of 2021 are also doing is they are basically calling upon these social media intermediaries to play a holistic role, to play a proactive role in taking down unlawful content such as child sexual abuse material. Provide online videos or warning messages at the time of logging into social media platforms stating a zero tolerance policy towards such content. This was the backdrop in which the rules of 2021 were introduced. So now we'll delve into the rules of 2021. Definition clause. In these rules, unless the context otherwise requires, digital media means digitized content that can be transmitted over the internet or computer networks and includes content received, stored, transmitted, edited, or processed by an intermediary or a publisher of news and current affairs content or a publisher of online curated content. I may just highlight that as I alluded to earlier, part 2 of the rules of 2021 has to be administered by the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology because this pertains primarily to intermediaries, that is, social media platforms like Twitter and Facebook. And part 3 of the rules, which deals with OTT platforms and digital news portals or web portals, that has to be looked into, and the compliance thereof has to be ensured by the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. Now, there is one word that I would like to highlight over here. Perhaps this is something that will also become the subject matter of some litigation in near future. If you look at the sentence, digitized content that can be transmitted over the internet or computer networks and includes content received, stored, transmitted, edited. If I may just emphasize on the word edited, as I alluded to earlier, Twitter has basically started this practice of selectively putting out this tag or selectively putting out this label of quote unquote manipulated media behind some tweets. So now one can opine, to my mind, that would definitely qualify as editing that particular post because whatever tweet, whatever post was put out by a particular user, Twitter has added its own content. So it has edited that tweet, it has edited that content. So that would again, to my mind, qualify as editing within the for the purposes of this particular provision. Ministry means this I've already explained. Part 2 shall be administered by the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. Now, this is very important. So these rules of 2021, they draw a very important classification among social media intermediaries. The classification is social media intermediaries and significant social media intermediaries. So significant social media intermediaries would include all your prominent social media platforms like Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and WhatsApp also. So how the government has decided this is basically they have said that we will decide a threshold of the number of users. So based on that threshold, certain social media intermediaries would qualify as significant social media intermediaries, and the other platforms, platforms which have just come up, companies which have been recently incorporated, companies or social media platforms which are yet to gain significant traction in the Indian market, they would not qualify as significant social media intermediaries. So this is an important piece of classification that is the byproduct of these rules of 2021. Online curated content basically means curated catalog of audiovisual content. So this will include the content that we see on OTT platforms. Social media intermediary, I've already thrown light on this, as also significant social media intermediary. Now, this is very important. Due diligence by intermediaries. And this is again something that Jay alluded to at the outset. Uh, an intermediary, including social media intermediary and significant social media intermediary, so there is no distinction between these two classes for the purposes of this particular provision, shall observe the following due diligence while discharging its duties, namely, an intermediary on whose computer resource the information is stored, hosted, or published, upon receiving actual knowledge in the form of an order by a court of competent jurisdiction or on being notified by the appropriate government or its agency under Clause B of subsection 3 of Section 79 of the Act, shall not host, store, or publish any unlawful information which is prohibited under any law for the time being in force in relation to the interest of the sovereignty and integrity of India, security of the state, friendly relations with foreign states, public order, decency or morality, in relation to contempt of court, defamation, incitement to an offense relating to the above, or any information which is prohibited under any law for the time being in force. So, as we can see, the broad idea behind this is to ensure that the content that is put out on these social media platforms, similar legal architecture is applied to that content as would be applied to content that is published in the physical space, so to speak. Now, there are a couple of provisos. Provided that any notification made by the appropriate government or its agency in relation to any information which is prohibited under any law for the time being in force shall be issued by an authorized agency as may be notified by the appropriate government. Provided further that if any such information is hosted, stored, or published, the intermediary shall remove or disable access to that information as early as possible, but in no case later than 36 hours from the receipt of the court order or on being notified by the appropriate government or its agency, as the case may be. Provided also that the removal or disabling of access to any information, data, or communication link within the categories of information specified under this clause, under Clause B on a voluntary basis, or on the basis of grievances received under Subrule 2 by such intermediary, shall not amount to a violation of the conditions of clauses A or B of subsection 2 of section 79 of the Act. Section 79 of the IT Act basically deals with the protection, legal immunity, legal protection that is conferred on intermediaries. And again, just to quickly highlight this, the example of Twitter that I shared, the FIR that has been registered, that is precisely because since Twitter did not comply with the rules of 2021, therefore the immunity available to other social media platforms under Section 79 of the IT Act is no longer available to Twitter. Grievance redressal mechanism of intermediary. So basically, this was a demand that had been in circulation for a very long time by users of these social media platforms as well as by civil society and across the political spectrum as well, that there should be some grievance redressal mechanism. The intermediary shall prominently publish on its website, mobile based application, or both, as the case may be, the name of the grievance officer and his contact details, as well as mechanism by which a user or a victim may make complaint against violation of the provisions of this rule or any other matters pertaining to the computer resources made available by it, and the grievance officer shall acknowledge the complaint within 24 hours and dispose of such complaint within a period of 15 days from the date of its receipt, receive and acknowledge any order, notice, or direction issued by the appropriate government, any competent authority, or a competent court. Now, again, since this very important classification has been created between social media intermediaries and significant social media intermediaries, and one of the reasons behind that is that you cannot put too much compliance burden on companies or platforms which have just come up. Prominent social media companies which qualify as significant social media intermediaries, they are in a position to even incur the cost of additional compliance, which newly created social media platforms are not in a position to do. So, additional due diligence to be observed by significant social media intermediaries. In addition to due diligence observed under Rule 3, a significant social media intermediary shall, within 3 months from the date of notification of the threshold under Clause 5 of Subrule 1 of Rule 2, observe the following additional due diligence while discharging its duties, namely, appoint a chief compliance officer who shall be responsible for ensuring compliance with the Act and the rules made thereunder, and shall be liable in any proceedings relating to any relevant third party information, data, or communication link made available or hosted by that intermediary, where he fails to ensure that such intermediary observes due diligence while discharging its duties under the Act and rules made thereunder, provided that no liability under the Act or rules made thereunder may be imposed on such significant social media intermediary without being given an opportunity of being heard. Explanation: for the purposes of this clause, Chief Compliance Officer means a key managerial personnel or such other senior employee of a significant social media intermediary who is resident in India. Before the introduction of these rules of 2021, there was some social media platforms, that is, some prominent social media platforms who had key managerial personnel to ensure compliance with Indian laws who were residents of India, whereas there were some others who did not have key managerial personnel as residents of this country itself. Appoint a nodal contact person for 24 by 7 coordination with law enforcement agencies and officers to ensure compliance to their orders or requisitions made in accordance with the provisions of law or rules made thereunder. Explanation: for the purposes of this clause, nodal contact person means the employee of a significant social media intermediary other than the chief compliance officer who is resident in India. Uh, Most of these provisions are fairly self-explanatory, so I'm not taking out time to delve deeper into these. Appoint a resident grievance officer who shall, subject to clause B, be responsible for the functions referred to in sub-rule 2 of rule 3. Uh, Now, these are again some fairly standard provisions that have been incorporated. This is fairly important. A significant social media intermediary providing services primarily in the nature of messaging shall enable the identification of the first originator of the information on its computer resource as may be required by a judicial order passed by a court of competent jurisdiction or an order passed under Section 69 by the competent authority as per the Information Technology Procedure and Safeguards for Interception, Monitoring and Decryption of Information Rules of 2009, which shall be supported with a copy of such information in electronic form, provided that an order shall only be passed for the purposes of prevention, detection, investigation, prosecution, or punishment of an offence related to the sovereignty and integrity of India, the security of the state, friendly relations with foreign states, or public order, or of incitement to an offence relating to the above, or in relation with rape, sexually explicit material, or child sexual abuse material, punishable with imprisonment for a term of not less than 5 years. Now, as we can see, this basically deals with the end-to-end encrypted content. And as I alluded to earlier, the Rajya Sabha committee in its report categorically stated that there ought to be a provision even in regard to end-to-end encryption platforms such as WhatsApp. And this is primarily why WhatsApp has impugned the legality of these rules before the Honorable Delhi High Court. Now, this is again very important. This is a very important safeguard that has been built into these rules of 2021, which would really serve the purpose of ensuring that there is not any large-scale abuse of these rules. Provided further that no order shall be passed in cases where other less intrusive means are effective in identifying the originator of the information. In other words, this particular provision shall become a measure of last resort only for law enforcement agencies. Provided also that in complying with an order for identification of the first originator, no significant social media intermediary shall be required to disclose the contents of any electronic message, any other information related to the first originator, or any information related to its other users. In other words, the information that would be sought by law enforcement agencies, if this particular provision is invoked, would be fairly limited. Provided also that where the first originator of any information on the computer resource of an intermediary is located outside the territory of India, the first originator of that information within the territory of India shall be deemed to be the first originator of the information for the purpose of this clause. This is again fairly standard, so I'll just skip through this due to paucity of time. Uh, a significant social media intermediary shall endeavor to deploy technology-based measures, including automated tools or other mechanisms, to proactively identify information that depicts any act or simulation in any form depicting rape or child sexual abuse material. We've already discussed this. Basically, the idea is that social media intermediaries need to play a holistic role. They need to play a prominent and proactive role. This is again fairly important. Provided that the measures taken by the intermediary under this sub-rule shall be proportionate, having regard to the interests of free speech and expression, privacy of users and the computer resource of such intermediary, including interests protected through the appropriate use of technical measures. Now, as we just saw in the previous rule, regarding end-to-end encrypted content when law enforcement agencies approach a platform like WhatsApp. Even there, the law enforcement agencies cannot ask for the actual content of the actual end-to-end encrypted content. They can only ask for the originator of the end-to-end encrypted content. So that basically is in furtherance of this particular portion, that privacy of users has been taken care of, and the rules also state that the right to free speech, which is naturally a fundamental right under the Indian Constitution, shall be given due importance by social media intermediaries. The significant social media intermediary shall have a physical contact address in India published on its website. So these rules have been incorporated with the view to ensure that the procedural compliance, the procedural formalities, as far as compliance with these rules is concerned, can be ensured. The significant social media intermediary shall enable users who register for their services from India or use their services in India to voluntarily verify their accounts by using any appropriate mechanism, including the active Indian mobile number of such users, and where any user voluntarily verifies their account, such user shall be provided with a demonstrable and visible mark of verification which shall be visible to all users of the service, provided that the information received for the purpose of verification under this sub-rule shall not be used for any other purpose unless the user expressly consents to such use. This is fairly important. Where a significant social media intermediary removes or disables access to any information, data, or communication link under Clause B of Subrule 1 of Rule 3 on its own accord, such intermediary shall ensure that prior to the time at which such intermediary removes or disables access, it has provided the user who has created, uploaded, shared, disseminated, or modified information, data, or communication link using its services with a notification explaining the action being taken and the grounds or reasons for such action. Now, again, this is a demand uh, that had been there, that had existed for a very long time. Social media users across different platforms had been complaining that without affording them an opportunity of being heard, without any cogent reasons being furnished by a particular social media platform, if they put out any legal content, if some content is unlawful, then naturally it has to be taken down. But any bona fide expression of view, that was also sought to be and was indeed taken down by several social media platforms. And this has been happening across the world, even in the US. So, in terms of Rule 8, which has now been incorporated in the rules of 2021, social media platforms are obligated to afford an opportunity of hearing to users if they want to take down any content. Ensure that the user who has created, uploaded, shared, disseminated, or modified information using its services is provided with an adequate and reasonable opportunity to dispute the action being taken by such intermediary and request for the reinstatement of access to such information, data, or communication link, which may be decided within a reasonable time. Then, a resident grievance officer also has to be appointed. Uh, Now, this is very important. Uh, Non-observance of rules. Where an intermediary fails to observe these rules, the provisions of subsection 1 of section 79 of the Act shall not be applicable to such intermediary, and the intermediary shall be liable for punishment under any law for the time being in force, including the provisions of the Act and the Indian Penal Code. Section 79, as I alluded to earlier, Section 79 of the Indian IT Act confers legal immunity, legal protection on social media intermediaries. But if any social media entity, any social media intermediary decides not to comply with these rules, then the immunity available to them in terms of Section 79 shall no longer be available to them. In fact, the example that I shared right at the outset regarding the FIR against Twitter in Uttar Pradesh, which was registered yesterday, that has been registered precisely in terms of this particular rule. Because Twitter has decided not to comply with these rules, therefore, it is now open. It is now liable to be booked under various laws, including IPC, which is exactly what has happened as far as the FIR in Uttar Pradesh is concerned. Now coming to part 3 of the rules of 2021, Code of Ethics and Procedure and Safeguards in relation to digital media. Uh, this particular part or these rules, which are a part of part 3, they deal with the OTT platforms such as Netflix and Amazon Prime and all the other OTT platforms, as also uh, digital web portals such as Swarajya, The Wire, opindia.com, and all these other portals. And as I alluded to earlier, The responsibility of ensuring compliance of this particular part of these rules lies with the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. Uh, Application of this part, I'll quickly go through these rules and I'll highlight only the relevant portion. The rules made under this part shall apply to the following persons or entities, namely publishers of news and current affairs content, publishers of online curated content, and shall be administered by the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, which shall be referred to in this part as the Ministry. Uh, Rule 9. Observance and adherence to the code. A publisher referred to in Rule 8 shall observe and adhere to the code of ethics laid down in the appendix annexed to these rules. This code of ethics is fairly important, and I'll highlight this code of ethics in a moment. Notwithstanding anything contained in these rules, a publisher referred to in Rule 8 who contravenes any law for the timing in force shall also be liable for consequential action as provided in such law which has so been contravened. Now, this is the mechanism that has been provided. If you can look at the broad architecture, level 1 is self-regulation by the publishers. Level 2 is self-regulation by the self-regulating bodies of the publishers, which could even include, say, the Press Council of India. Level 3 is the oversight mechanism by the central government, that is the union government. Furnishing and processing of grievance. As you can see, consumers of news or consumers of OTT content on these OTT platforms have now been given an opportunity to process or to raise their grievance. And these OTT platforms and web portals are now obligated, it is now incumbent on them in terms of this particular rule to deal with those grievances in an organized manner. Certain appeals have also been provided for. Blocking of information in case of emergency. Notwithstanding anything contained in rules 14 and 15, the authorized officer in case of emergency nature for which no delay is acceptable shall examine the relevant content and consider whether it is within the grounds referred to in subsection 1 of section 69A of the Act, and it is necessary or expedient and justifiable to block such information or part thereof, and submit a specific recommendation in writing to the Secretary of Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. Uh, the Secretary of the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting in turn would then take a call on this after giving an opportunity of hearing. And uh, the authorized officer at the earliest, but not later than 48 hours of issue of direction under Sub-Rule 2, shall bring the request before the committee for its consideration and recommendation. Now, this is perhaps the most important part of part 3 of these rules. This is the code of ethics with which these OTT platforms and these web portals have to comply with. News and current affairs. Norms of journalistic conduct of the Press Council of India under the Press Council Act 1978. Program code under Section 5 of the Cable Television Networks Regulation Act of 1995. Content which is prohibited under any law for the time being in force shall not be published or transmitted. So if I may pause at this juncture, what we see here is, if you look at particularly the second point, that is program code under section 5 of the Cable Television Networks Regulation Act of 1995. Before the introduction of the rules of 2021, these web portals were not obligated to comply with the program code under section 5 of the Act of 1995, which was imposed on uh, on electronic media. So we could argue that de facto there was a classification, whether intended or otherwise, a classification that was created. And some commentators, including some prominent lawyers, have also raised this point that this was a classification which was unsustainable. It also reminds one of the famous dictum of Justice Venkatachalai on classification: to overdo classification is to undo equality. So this is again something that has been taken care of by these rules of 2021. Online curated content. Certain general principles have been laid down. A publisher shall not transmit or publish or exhibit any content which is prohibited under any law for the time being in force or has been prohibited by any court of competent jurisdiction. A publisher shall take into consideration the following factors when deciding to feature or transmit or publish or exhibit any content, after duly considering the implications of any content as falling under the following categories, and shall exercise due caution and discretion in relation to the same, namely content which affects the sovereignty and integrity of India, content which threatens, endangers, or jeopardizes the security of the state, content which is detrimental to India's friendly relations with foreign countries. content which is likely to incite violence or disturb the maintenance of public order. A publisher shall take into consideration India's multiracial and multi-religious context and exercise due caution and discretion when featuring the activities, beliefs, practices, or views of any racial or religious group. Content classification. This, as you can see on your screen, some classification has to be ensured by OTT platforms. Uh, it is not difficult to see the underlying rationale behind this particular provision. Now that during the pandemic, theaters are not open, and even when there's no pandemic, when theaters are open, children have really taken up to consuming OTT content. So therefore, it becomes very important to ensure that there is some sort of classification that is uniformly applied by all OTT platforms. This again is in furtherance of the classification that was there in the previous slide. Uh, the content may be classified on the basis of themes and messages, violence, nudity, sex, language, drug and substance abuse, and horror as described in the schedule, as may be modified from time to time by the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. Display of classification. The publisher of online curated content shall prominently display the classification rating specific to each content or program, together with a content descriptor informing the user about the nature of the content and advising on viewer discretion, if applicable, at the beginning of every program, enabling the user to make an informed decision prior to watching the program. This again is in regard to the classification that has to be made. A publisher of online curated content must strive to include classification, rating, and consumer advice for their programs in any print, television, or online promotional or publicity material, and prominently display the classification rating specific to each such content. Restriction of access to certain curated content by a child. This is fairly self-explanatory. So now what we see is that these rules of 2021 really have served the purpose of ensuring that social media platforms are obligated to undertake more due diligence. They shall be completely bound by the extant laws of India and all the rules and regulations that have been framed thereunder. As we can see, part 3 of the rules, which was not existent in the rules which earlier held the field, that is the rules of 2011, now even bring within their ambit OTT platforms such as Netflix and Amazon Prime, as also web portals like The Wire, Swarajya, and other platforms, other web portals. So these rules have been introduced in a particular backdrop. The backdrop comprises of the Rajya Sabha committee report, as also various orders passed by the Honorable Supreme Court of India. So I would posit that these rules serve a very important purpose. Naturally, there has been some controversy as far as the legality of some of these rules is concerned. I'm sure that they would become the subject matter of some litigation in near future. But as we can see, uh, it is also desirable that social media companies should be obligated to comply with the laws of India, particularly if they are taking a proactive role in editing content, in selectively editing content. Then there is no legal rationale as to why they should not, as to why a liability in terms of the extant laws should not be fastened upon them if they fail to comply with these particular rules. So with that, I come to the end of my presentation. Over to you, Jay.
Thank you so much, Mr. Changani, for your valuable insights. Well, it will be interesting to see whether these rules can stand the test of constitutionality in courts whenever challenged. So, thank you so much for your valuable insights, and thank you so much for taking out time. To all the viewers, in case if you still have any query on any of the fundamentals or any of the concepts, feel free to write to us, and we'll be more than happy to forward the same to our amicus for today's session, Mr. Changani, who was readily accepted to be a part of this presentation today to assist you, and you can write to him directly as well. So thank you so much, Mr. Arvind Changani, for this illustrious discussion, and hope our viewers will immensely benefit from this presentation of yours. And so stay tuned. Next episode is on its way. Please stay home. Please stay indoors. Please like, subscribe, and share my channel. And thank you so much for watching the Virtual Amicus. It's goodbye for now. Thank you.